Hello and welcome to Women Empowerment Edition Impact for Change. The purpose for the podcast is to provide the space for women to share their stories in an inspiring way to help impact and inspire other women. Now, today's guest is a very unique person. Like, I met this person a couple of weeks ago, and she is truly inspiring. So she is a creative flame behind Visual Elites Defined. She is a freelancer, brand designer, and a website designer as well. So she's passionate about working with a brand that empower people, and her love for design sparkles from a desire to make her handmade craft feel more personal and meaningful. She empowers people, not only empowers, but she inspires people through her design. So please help me welcome the phenomenal brand designer, an amazing human being, LeeAnne Wade. Hi, LeeAnne.
Hello, Hoeda. Thank you for such a introduction. That was really nice. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for accepting to be, on my podcast. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I haven't, as I said in the introduction, I haven't known you that long, but you've been really inspiring person. And through my communication with you, or to be honest, I've learned a lot, and I've learned like how inspiring you are. You know, you empower people through the work that you're doing. And she's doing a phenomenal job. You know, if anyone go and check her, she's doing absolutely incredible. So before we start digging deep, into the topic today, because the topic today, well, we know that you have chose is becoming, which is, it's a very not only broadened topic, but it can be close to anybody's heart, because everyone in a journey of becoming. So before we start, can you please, LeeAnne, tell us and tell the amazing women who's gonna listen to this a little bit about yourself?
So, my name is LeeAnne Wade. I'm a brand and web designer. I'm a freelancer, but my design name is called Visually Defined. And what I do is I help people turn their brand visions into something that's actually visual. So that's whether that's from the branding, so picking colors, fonts, using mood boards, using different photographs, just getting a feel of what they want their brand to feel like. But not only that, also doing research into their audience to find out what the audience wants as well, because a brand needs to speak for itself, but then it needs to speak to who you want to attract as customers. That's very important. So no matter what type of design I'm doing, whether it's a graphic or it's a brand or a logo or website, always start with the passion of the founder and the business, and then into research and combining strategy to really make something personal for them.
That is absolutely amazing and incredible. And nowadays, yeah, I know everyone really needs that, something that can be personalized, something that is only, speak, life, bring out like, oh, their personal, something, that can be close to their heart. They can actually define them, through. And you have done a great job. I'm just telling you. You have done a great job, and I've seen
Thank
the work
you.
that you have actually doing, and the amazing comment that people have put, and how amazing that you have helped them find or create something that they want, and also the way you communicated with them, with the audience,
Yes.
that turned completely, they shifted their lives, which is something that is missing, right now, because a lot of freelancers, a lot of people, I don't know that many people personally who actually doing what you're doing, yeah. So it's absolutely incredible. So tell us what inspired you to start, the visually defined
Define.
company. Yeah, what inspired you to start it? What was the inspiration behind it?
Well, to be perfectly honest, the story of how visually defined even came here was I was on maternity leave and
Mm,
I needed something to do outside of mom to
mm,
just, keep it going. So I started looking for crafts that I could do,
mm,
and I got what's known as a Cricut machine where it's used to cut different silhouettes of shapes and words and different stuff. So I thought, okay, I could give this a go
mm,
in my spare time. But what I soon started to realize is there was a lot of designs out there, don't get me wrong, but I wanted my own and I wanted it to look like what I thought about in my mind.
mm,
So I didn't want the generic. I was just tired of it. So I started to look online and then I realized, okay, in order to create my own designs, I would need to learn something like Adobe Illustrator. And I said, okay, I watched a lot of tutorials. I started to make a few more personalized designs. It felt good. And then I was just like, hold on here. I'm enjoying designing a lot more than doing the crafts that I'm designing for.
mm,
So I continued doing the crafts and then I continued to go deeper.
mm,
Started learning a bit more about Illustrator, started learning a bit more about Photoshop, shapes
mm,
and then I did a few courses in like color and contrast and graphic balance and all of that. So it really started from a journey of wanting to make my crafts feel more, this is what I think about in my mind. And if I think about it in my mind, I need to be able to see it come to life.
wow. So that is because that is actually amazing, and it's really truly inspiring. Because I know women who's gonna listen to this, or women who's like moms, they're sitting at home, they don't know what to do, they don't know. Okay, because I know few moms that
Mhm.
they just saying, "I'm just okay," of having kids. They think like the journey is just like finished after they have a kid. But for you, it's different.
No, so I've been working in insurance for almost, well, that's my background before I got into that. So obviously, when I stopped working, because
Mm,
insurance is a hectic job, and sometimes when you finish, you are mentally drained,
yeah.
and you just want to watch something on TV, you just want to chill. But for me, in motherhood, because I was so used to going all the time with this job, I needed something to occupy that extra brain space. And I
Mm,
feel like having a creative hobby, you don't have to pursue it professionally. It really does help to relax the mind because you've got something that you can envision in your mind and you get to be part of the whole thing from start to end. So it's like becoming. So you could make it what you want to make it. It is beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. So whether it's painting or sewing, it really does relax the mind because this is something that you have control over, and the finished product is what you want it to be.
truly, truly amazing. And I mean, and that's what really started your journey of becoming. It
Yes.
started that journey of becoming, and to many people who's gonna listen this, they're gonna think, how can I start the journey of becoming? Because becoming is a word that means different thing to different people, and people can be interpreted into different things. So what does the word becoming, because you mentioned a couple of times, what does the word becoming means to LeeAnne?
Becoming. No, there's a lot of different definitions, as you rightly said, even Michelle Obama has a book on becoming. And
Hmm.
in my eyes, becoming is aligning yourself with the person that you are meant to be. Now, I am going to expand on that a little bit more. So it's a continuous process.
Mm,
It's a messy process. It's a beautiful process. It's a transformative process.
mm,
And it is not all in one go. It is bits by bits, day by day, month by month, week by week. You take your time and you get to know yourself. And when I say aligning to who you are meant to be, it's not who society says you should be. It's not who your friend says you should be. It's who you feel you should be and who you feel you want to become. And it's not easy. As I said, it is messy and beautiful at the same time.
wow. What a different alignment. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is, oh my God, I should like write this. This is absolutely incredible because I've never seen somebody who defined that word becoming the way you define it. And it's really aligned with you through the work that you're doing and through the giving. You're not only doing the thing, also you give back to community. And you
Yeah,
say the journey becoming, it's messy. It's
yeah,
absolutely messy. And you started the journey of becoming from the idea
yep,
that it came into your head when you are in maternity leave.
yep,
And that embarked your journey of continuous becoming, the growth, the flourishing, the success that you actually have. And but I'm sure there is a setback. And I'm sure there is like
yeah.
challenges when you start, the journey of becoming. And I'm wondering, what thoughts, because our most enemy is our brain when we start the
Definitely.
journey of becoming. So what thoughts was going on in your head when you had the idea, when you like,
I was wondering, what am I even doing? Because I'm not gonna lie, at the time when I started looking into getting into a creative hobby, my
mm,
daughter would have just been about 2 months. So anybody that has a 2 month old knows that you're probably just about getting a bit of time back for yourself. And then you want to add something on top of everything that you've got to do. Um, I would say before I get into the challenges, not because you've aligned yourself to be a person, what you want to achieve today might be different to what you want next week. And I would say as long as it's in alignment with who you want to become, it is completely fine to pivot as long as your heart is flowing with it. Challenges I faced. I am from an insurance background. I'm from a customer service background. I've got no technical design experience or know-how. I've always been a creative person, but not to that depth, especially since I've become an adult. I would say my biggest challenge was learning graphic design, learning the software. That was a part of the becoming. And it was messy, very messy, because there were so many times that I shut my computer and I told myself, I am not going to go back into Adobe Illustrator. I am not going to do anything with design because it's not coming right. It doesn't look right. There are a lot of times I have stayed up for weeks trying to figure out how to get the smallest tweak done. So a lot of the challenges is was getting it's in the brain.
mm,
It's just getting it out. And there was a steep learning curve with that, learning that type of software, especially since I was a new mother. So I was figuring out motherhood. And then technically, I was figuring out this graphic design software.
Wow, wow. I mean, like you had 2 months. Oh my God. It must be challenging. But the persistence that you have showed in your life, and the continuance, and you resistant, and never giving up on the idea that you thought in your head, even when it comes to with the challenges, it comes with, with setbacks. That's the other thing that I really want to talk about, because most of people, when they had an idea and they start on it, they start feeling they're not they're not capable of doing it. They start falling back and
You
falling.
get a bit of, especially imposter syndrome.
Mhm. So how did you, when you are started the journey of becoming, of course, and started the company of, visually defined, when that is, when you had that thought, in the coming in your head and feelings, and sometimes even people around you, the negative, telling you, you can't do it, just quit, you can't just
I
do it.
had a lot of that. I'm not gonna tell you I didn't have a lot of that. I did.
So how you dealt with it? How you dealt with it? What is step? Because I'm sure when women, a lot of women gonna listen to this, the first
Mhm.
thing they're gonna ask, how have you dealt with it? How you dealt with this? The negative
I
things and.
I think I had a lot of internal fights with myself about it,
Mm,
honestly.
mm,
And imposter syndrome showed itself a lot of times. And some days it beat me. I'm not going to say that every day was perfect, but they came to a point where yes, I had people saying, oh, graphic design is going because of AI, and there was a tug of war between that. But then on the other hand, I had people that were encouraging me to keep on honing my craft. I, you see, the thing about it is I tried to quit and I did try to give it up. But just as when you love something and you're passionate about something, you love something when you take weeks to figure out how to get something simple done. You really love something when you've got limited time to do it, but you still squeeze it in to do it. You love something that no matter how hard it gets, even if you need to take a few days off, you can continue doing it because that's what you're passionate about and that's what you love doing. And for me, that's how I feel about graphics. So my love and my passion for it, because I was aligned to it, it kept me going. Even when imposter syndrome beat me yesterday, last week, I would still give it a try again. And I had people that was encouraging me to keep going,
mm,
but that was enough until I met my mentor.
mm.
And she's the one that really gave me a driving force. Like, yes, you can do this. Why are you not doubting yourself? That one person to really encourage you and give you that push, that does make a difference. But it does start, you need to be aligned because if you're not aligned, it's not going to work.
Really true. I absolutely agree with you, because from what you're saying is you have focus in your internal battle, and you try to control those internal battles, whether like the negativity, the negative self-talk, imposter syndrome, whether anything, that is internal conflict that you had, you tried that, you worked on yourself. And I think that is the first step for anyone who's want to start the journey of becoming, is to work on themselves and just focus and be impassioned and just when they have that passion, everything will fall into place.
It will spark up, trust me. You will know when you find that passion, that spark.
However, LeeAnne, not everyone is capable of, because sometimes some people have a strong mental, mindset that they kind of help them, where you say you had also a mentor who's helping you, but not many women who have that. Not many women, even if they try to work on themselves, there is external things that really can affects them. And I know you said you are so many going. How you dealt with that while you are working internally and focusing on the journey of becoming?
I would say I have, even though I've had the negative self-talk and I've had the positive and I've had the upliftment and I've had the mentor, there were some days, as you're rightfully saying, where it didn't feel like enough. And maybe someone might say that's been a bit ungrateful. But in the life we live in, we all have our days, we all have our times. And I totally get to you when you say, it is a push-pull situation. So what has actually helped and continues to help me is journaling. I journal daily. I did stop for a few months, but I find that with journaling, I don't feel we as human beings, especially as adults, we ever really truly come out and say everything that is on our mind in fear of being judged. And
so true.
we are judgmental people. We all judge. Like, everybody judges. It is part of human nature. And a lot of times because we don't get to express this, it bottles up and it takes over the body, it takes over the mind. It can start controlling your life. So I realized that by journaling, I can write everything how I feel out on paper about anything with no judgment, and I know it goes somewhere. And through that process, I've learned about myself a lot, because even days where there were not stuff to journal about, I would write down how my day went, what could have gone better, what I've done well, what I want to do. It doesn't matter. It's open. But some days I get to the paper and I think, today wasn't really an eventful day. So what I started doing was using prompts. And you can get prompts from ChatGPT. It depends on what you want to fix. So you'll get a question which provokes your thoughts now, and you think, okay, it might say, what is something that you've been telling yourself that you're not good at, that you actually like? A negative self-talk question. Now, when you get a question like this and you're not answering to an external person, you can sit, you can think, and you think deeper. And you have a chance to come up with your answer. It doesn't have to be today, tomorrow. You have a chance to think about it. Now, when you write it out, you could think, okay, I've written it down, and you look at it now and you could start thinking there's ways to make the shift. So journaling has really helped a lot on this journey, because I can look back to last year and I can read some of my notes and see, oh, okay, I've come a far way, and even compare it to what I'm writing even last night.
Wow. Really, it's really inspiring. And it's like inspired me as well, because I used to journal. I used to do a lot of journaling, but then I stopped. What you said, when I had a mentor that can speak when I can ring, pick up and speak and all. She become my journaling. She become like, every time pick up the phone, talking to her,
Yeah.
like, hey, let's catch up. And then I just pour everything out and she listens to me patiently. So I think you said journaling and mentor and working on yourself. Those are really, really helpful things that can help somebody who wants to start the journey of becoming. However, there is internal obstacles, but there is external obstacles. Now, how you dealt with external, because that can have a huge impact on a person who want to start the journey of becoming, and they trying to work on themselves. Because I remember that happened to me as well when I tried to work on myself, and that external factor, that external obstacles have really, really not only gotten in my nerve, LeeAnne, but it really affected as a thing. So I had to step away. So how you dealt with the external obstacles?
The external obstacles, as you've rightly said, sometimes it's stepping away, sometimes it's putting up boundaries, sometimes it's having a conversation and letting people know this is where you are going and this is what you are doing. But it is not always easy, and it's not I think it's a continuous process because we are always changing. We are always changing, and part of becoming is like a butterfly. You will lose some pieces of you, and that might be people. At times it might be family, it might be friends. It's not always easy, but it's standing your ground. It's standing your ground. And trust and believe that when you're aligning to go where you need to go, the right people will either stay and you will attract more of the people that you need to encourage you on this journey. It starts small.
That's actually a lot of making sense, LeeAnne, because when we start the journey of becoming, we tend to listen to other people more than we listen to ourselves. We tend to, like, if somebody say, oh, you can't do this, okay, we listen to them just because they've been in our life for such a long time. And I've seen this with so many women. They listen to the external more than they listen to the internal, the emotion GBS, what telling them. They listen to the external, people. And that what caused them to procrastinate, that what caused them to, extend the journey, not only they having that conflict with themselves. Because sometimes when you go, I remember when I used to like put my head in a pillow at night, I remember I used to quite judge myself quite a lot, like the thoughts, like judging myself about, okay, she said this, but then this is what happened. So we as a women, we tend to judge ourselves quite often.
Too.
Yeah, so what, because I know you did went through that as well. So
we do, and I would just add on that and say a lot of it is because life is busy and we keep going and we keep going and there's always a standard to society and there is always talking. There's a lot of influence. You got the news, you got social media, you got family, you got friends, and it is all around you and you consume without even realizing you consume. And I was caught in that cycle for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Work, home, not taking time to think. But then after a while, as I got on maternity leave, it got quiet and I had time to think. Sometimes we need to slow it down and we need to sit down and get to know ourselves because we get to know people. You get to know your friends, you get to know your family,
Mm.
but a lot of time we overlook getting to know ourselves. We need to make time to find out who we are, what do we like, where do we want to go without the pressure and the judgment of people. And again, this is time because for a very long time I thought, okay, I'm just doing insurance because I'm experienced in insurance and I'm not quite sure where I want to go because life is busy and that's what I'm doing Monday to Friday, 5 days a week. And I did not take time to get to know myself. So that's a very important part of becoming.
Getting to know yourself. That is a great advice because not many women they get to know themselves. They neglect
No,
themselves, Leah. They don't get to know who they are and understand who they are. They get to listen to other people more than they listen to themselves.
yeah,
And which is that's like ironic. Sometimes I say to like my friend, like why? Like you know yourself better.
exactly. You know your full story. You know everything about yourself.
Hmm.
Why?
That's the question. Like why? And some people the answer that I really got, LeeAnne, is because oh they are more experienced than me. They have like more wisdom than me. They have because I know women who's gonna listen to this, they have people
I
older than them.
know, I
Yeah.
know. It is, and I find knowing yourself is especially important in motherhood. Otherwise, you can end up getting lost in just being mom. And there is nothing wrong with just
Mm,
mom, but getting to know yourself helps you make decisions that align. There are too many times that I've taken advice from family members or more experienced people, and I'm not saying it's all the times, but some of the time, the way that I was thinking your guts would work for me was the best way for me to go. But I didn't trust myself because I didn't know myself. And sometimes we don't like ourselves because of the thoughts that we think about ourselves.
mm,
It's thinking about, you know, when you go networking, it's a know, like, and trust factor. Now, if you don't know yourself and if you don't trust yourself and if you don't like yourself, you will not listen to yourself. If that makes sense, it's need to connect with you to be confident enough to know that when you make a decision, it is aligned and we are human beings and we will make mistakes. So not every decision you make will be the right decision. But at least you know, okay, if you've made the wrong decision,
mm.
you know next time what to do. It's building trust with yourself and forgiving yourself for the mistakes that you make as well. We forgive others. We need to have grace with ourselves. We need to forgive ourselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely agree with you. Because as a women, we tend to, you know, do everything nice to other people, but not ourselves. You know, like,
Yeah,
and I think the society also play a role in here
yep,
because society always having that kind of restraint. You know, like women needs to be this. You know, being put in a certain box. You know,
yep,
and never go out and do something. And I literally, I know family that the girl, once she finished from high school, that's it. She's not allowed to continue her education further or even have a job because that is the society. That's what they think they put themselves into there, and they believe that women only they capable, you know, to be a housewife, to become a mother and looking after her kids and her husband. That's all what they think. And that's all. I think that's why women, they come to a sense of now is that doubting, that self, neglect themselves quite a lot,
Mhm.
they forget themselves quite a lot. They forget that they are human beings. They
Mhm.
have ambitions, they have goals, they can go out and achieve. But do you think all that comes to the self-confidence and self-belief?
Yeah,
Also
it
self-esteem and
is.
self-love.
Yeah, it's self-love, and you need to. It comes back to learning yourself, and it's not a day, and it's not a week, and it may take years. I'm not gonna lie, it could take such
Mhm.
a long time because you're always evolving and you're growing, and life and circumstances may change the way you think or the way you look at stuff, but
Yeah.
it doesn't affect self-esteem. It does affect confidence as well. It's taking little steps, and I know we hear people say it all the time, but it's a day at a time. You know what pace you can go at.
That's very true, because I know few women that they want to establish it of becoming, they want to do something in their life, but they have low self-esteem and they have low self-confidence, and that is why they listen to other people. So Leah, what would you say to these women who want to start empower the journey of becoming?
I am going to get on the vulnerable side right now
Mm,
because there was once a time where I actually suffered from low confidence, low self-esteem, a lot of self-hate. And I am gonna be honest with you, it could become a vicious cycle. And it is starting to, again, you start slowly. I tried meditation. We get in there. It is starting to love yourself. Treat yourself as you would treat somebody that you love. And if you feel comfortable on the journey and you have a trusted person that you can speak to about what you want to do, because sometimes as a woman, they are judged and you don't want to tell somebody that because someone might tell you, oh, it's all in your head. You need to have a person, if you can, that can encourage you on your journey, that on the days to lift you up, to help you become that part of yourself. It's loving yourself slowly. It's telling yourself you are worthy, you are good enough. It's treating yourself like just like how you treat somebody. Take yourself out. It's like, have half an hour for yourself to watch something. Have a bit of self-care. Listen to a bit of music. Do a little bit of reading. Be gentle with yourself. Journal. There is one point in my life, however, that nobody could get me to come and do something like this because my confidence was not up there. And the thoughts came to my mind that I'm not good enough. There was one point that networking, it's not going to happen. And it's not an overnight thing, it's consistency, it's day by day, it's bit by bit. But be gentle on yourself.
absolutely true. And as a women, we always being hard, like being gentle. That's the first thing that you need to do. Like, 'cause when when we start as a women talking negative to ourselves, when we start judging ourselves, when we start blaming ourselves, because I know some like mothers, they might think, okay, how can I go out and work and achieve my goals and all that, and leaving my kids at home. Also,
Yes, I have a
guilt,
lot of that as well. The mom guilt.
the
Yes.
mom guilt can play a huge part on on
Yes.
on affecting on the journey of becoming. And speaking of it, a guilt, how did you overcome that guilt of a mom guilt? Because I
I
know.
don't think you ever really get over it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually journaled about that last night
Mm,
and about having a lot of mom guilt because feeling
mm,
like I should be doing more when I am already pouring maximum of what I could pour, but a part of that too is that we need to pour into ourselves as mothers because you cannot pour from an empty cup. It's part of making sure that you are revitalizing yourself. You feel wholesome. You feel good about yourself. Children could pick up things, sometimes children could tell you things that you didn't even know, and you're wondering how they knew before you knew. They've got that kind of spirit, and they can sense. They
Mm,
can sense that you're not fully there. So hence I go back to saying it's being gentle with yourself. There are different ways that one might come to show them self-love, and that could be journaling, being gentle, a bit of self-care, or I am going to be biased and say even taking up a creative hobby
mm,
because it takes your mind off everything. You have something else to do too. And when your mind is free, you get different thoughts, you get different ideas
mm.
when that stillness is happening. So the mom guilt, you need to take care of you first. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Wow. Um, that's true because I am not a mom, so I don't know the feeling of a mother. But I'm sure women who are moms and they listen to this later on, they will be able to relate to this because a lot of moms out there they feel guilt, and most of women that I speak to they are moms and so I feel guilty about leaving my child. And there is also like a manager that I'm working with. Her daughter is just 1 year old, and she keeps saying, I feel guilty of leaving her at home and come to work, and it's the guilt. It's always guilt. You're absolutely right. Take care of yourself. That is a very, very important. That is
It is very important. It is like it needs to be scheduling, and I forget to schedule in it sometimes. But I can feel when I am getting overstimulated as an adult. I could feel when, oh, I haven't had that me time for a long time. I feel different. My reactions are different. So I know when you don't have it, it really does affect how you think and how you feel and how you respond.
absolutely, absolutely, because as you embark the journey of becoming, it's not an easy thing. You will feel the feeling of guilt, the feeling of shame, the feeling because I know some people even feel shame, to start saying, I'm old, like I'm this age, this is how old I am. How can I start this? How can I? And these people, they tell you great idea, LeeAnne. Like the idea that they share with me sometimes is like, why don't you start doing it? Like,
Mhm.
I'm ashamed. Like, this is how old I am.
The
How
thing
can I
is,
start?
with having the ideas, you know what the funny thing about it is
Mm,
whether or not you pursue this idea, time is going to go by regardless.
mm.
And if you start it today or you start it next year, regardless of what you do, time is going by.
No, a lot of women they think I feel like age can be huge because I know we are in a fast development era. Like look at the AI, look at the technology, and how
Yep,
far we have come. As a women, and some women as like a CEO, some women like like a manager, director. Some people they have their own company, they are like speakers, and women they become more successful. But what I realized, some women, the successful women, they forgot the vulnerable side of it. They
yep.
have the tendency to, I need to be strong. I need to be like equal a man. I need to do, and they forgot the other side of the emotion of being themselves or being that vulnerable. They go out, and just be themselves. And I'm sure it came to you at some point.
It's
Yeah.
I've I am an emotional being.
Mm,
as well. I think society plays a big role in why we feel like no matter what we do, it's not enough.
so true.
It's always it's sad because we get to somewhere and we feel okay, goal accomplished. We don't even take the time to accomplish it. Let's go for the next goal and the next goal. But it would be good if a lot more women came and spoke about that side of things, the vulnerability, and help encourage more women to see that what you're feeling is not alien, it's normal. And you have mentioned something about women feeling that they're too old to start something. You
Yeah.
see, the thing about it is we are all on different journeys.
Mm,
And whether you start it when you're 20 or you're 55, we're all on different journeys. Your journey may be different to mine. I did not think, I would say, 6 years ago, I would be doing websites or graphics. And when I started, it wasn't even to get into the field of doing it. So sometimes it sounds crazy. You just have to start. You never know where you might go. You never know where you might end up, who you might help, who you might inspire, who you might empower. It's the people that you meet along the way. As I did make a post recently, the journey is just as heavy as the destination. And it's part of becoming.
it is all part of becoming, and it's true. The journey is heavy as a destination, but the destination is more rewarding. The thinking that in your journey of becoming that, okay, I am doing something, I am achieving something, in my life. I am actually developing something. I am growing, you know,
Hmm.
uh, that is absolutely amazing. So, speaking of growth, so because I know you've grown so much through since you started the journey of, you know, of becoming. So what LeeAnne have learned about herself since she started the journey of becoming.
I've learned that I am actually good at so many things that I've talked to myself negatively about. I've learned that, I can have enough confidence to come on here and speak to empower women. I've learned to give myself a lot of grace and to celebrate small wins because they are very important. And sometimes we look at something as small, but we really need to, celebrate every win. It helps.
This journey make you discover yourself.
It did. It has boosted my self-confidence. It's boosted my self-esteem. There are so many things that I am doing now that I would even say a year ago I wouldn't even be thinking about it.
That's amazing, and that's what really this journey really does to a person. It changed the
Yes.
person's perspective. It changed the life, and it let them see, who truly are. Because we tend, as a women, we don't unleash our full potential. We don't know our full potential. We think we know, but we don't know until we start truly the journey. You
I
know,
was gonna say until you start taking steps, you don't realize that my steps turn into running, and before you know it, you're flying.
and look at the success that you had now. Look at the success, Leah. Look at the success, and look how amazing that you are enjoying every bit, and that's really important. Enjoying what you're doing,
Hmm.
that can help as well.
Definitely, you need to be passionate. You need to be passionate because once you're passionate about something, it can unlock so many doors. It shows.
What doors that opened for you, Leanne, when you since you start the journey of becoming?
My doors, I would say my mentor actually helped me to land what would be one of my first branding logo projects. And at the time, I had a lot less skill. I was doubting myself a lot. It was messy. It was messy. And she believed in me that I could put the work out, that it was like a collaborative effort. And I did that logo, and it took me it looked simple, but at the time, less skill, less confidence. I did it. And I look at it and I'm just like, okay, I know I've done my best, but you know what? I looked at it, I know imposter syndrome really gave me a kick last year when I did that. Quite a bit, quite a bit. But then, you know what's really rewarding about it? I did it, client was happy, mentor was happy, they were over the moon with it. That was about a year ago. And then I had an email a couple months back from this agency called Design Rush. They said they found this logo somewhere and they wanted to feature it. And self-doubt chipped in again because it was just like, ha, this must be some kind of scam. We doubt ourselves so much. So I looked into them and I said, okay, this is an actual company. And I asked them, well, what would it entail? What do you want to know? I said, yes, it is my design. They said, okay, they want to feature it as one of the professional logos for 2025. And I said, ooh, okay, okay, thank you. And I got permission from the company and everything to feature it. And again, with the negative self-talk. So even though I'm working on myself, I still have moments where we doubt because we are human and we're not perfect. So even when I got the green flag and I gave them all the information that they needed, I still thought, it's not going to happen. But then the article was published and it was like, oh, wow, someone actually recognized one of my earliest logos when I was still figuring it out. So it's a great achievement, and I'm looking. It wasn't something I was going for, but it means a lot to me, especially the journey I've been on to becoming, to know that okay, someone else had a look at my work and wanted to recognize the craftsmanship of it.
Amazing. That's amazing. The logo that you doubted yourself with, it ended up become the logo that being selected and posted in an article.
Yep.
And look at the success that you have. Look at the success that you have.
But then look at it like this, right? Had I had doubted myself with it last year with less skill, that opportunity would not have come.
See, they say the thing that you're afraid of, that is the thing that you need to do.
Just do it.
Yes, and that's the thing you need to do. And such an inspiring story, LeeAnne. I mean, this is the first time me listening to your story, the journey, and how you started the journey of becoming. And it's truly, really, really inspired me. Really, really inspired me. And I hope women out there also get to be inspired.
I really hope it does inspire. It's not easy, especially when you're entering a new field and you have to learn something from scratch, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of resilience, but I started learning a lot more. For anybody that's thinking about jumping into something new, when I was gentle with myself, I started learning a lot more. I stopped criticizing myself and I started being gentle with myself. and giving myself grace and celebrating what someone would even wonder, why am I celebrating something so small?
Mm.
I started celebrating, I started clapping for me.
That's really amazing, absolutely. And we are all, grown, and we are in a journey of growth, and growth is a part of a journey of becoming. So, what advice would you give to women who started their journey of becoming?
I would say go in alignment with what fits for you.
Mm,
Be confident in yourself. Get to know yourself. It is important to know thyself. Trust yourself. Love yourself. Be in a relationship with yourself, Pour in that love. You will need it for that journey because there are going to be times when every day will not be sunny skies and, blue skies. You will need that to fuel the journey of becoming. It's constant. It's not perfect. It's not a destination. It's messy. What? Keep showing yourself that love. And trust me, you become bigger than you even think you can be. Because a lot of times we cannot see ourselves, but somebody out there is seeing the potential in you.
so just keep going, start the journey, and don't be afraid, of when taking that step and faith of the, leap of the faith, and just go for it. Thank you so much, LeeAnne. You've been truly inspiring. Your stories, it's like I was like sitting the whole time, like just listening. I just want to listen to you, truly, because your journey is really inspiring, and it can help so many women out there today who's
Thank
doubting
you.
themselves, who want to start the journey of becoming, or women who just don't know where what or where to start,
I would
how
just
to
say,
start.
just start. Don't wait for there is no perfect time. Just begin. And in the beginning, it's gonna feel like the needle isn't moving, but
Mm,
just start.
absolutely. Thank you so much, LeeAnne. Thank you so much for sharing, your amazing story, your great advice and wisdom, and showing us that, you know, as a women, we are human beings and we are growing, and there is no, you know, it's not wrong for us to be who we are, and just show ourselves some, compassion, some self-compassion, and just be lenient with ourselves and love ourselves the way we are, and just
Definitely.
start the journey of becoming. Thank you very much, LeeAnne. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.